Good evening. Welcome to Charles F. Brush High School. This evening we are honored to induct new members into the National Honor Society. The National Honor Society is the nation's premier organization established to recognize outstanding high school students. More than just an honor roll, NHS serves to honor those students who have demonstrated excellence in the areas of scholarship, leadership, service, and character. These characteristics have been associated with membership in the organization since its beginning in 1921. To be a member of NHS, it is not just a four-year opportunity, this is a lifetime opportunity. Today is not the end of a journey, but yet the beginning of a journey. You new inductees, congratulations, and welcome to the 2014 National Honor Society induction ceremony.
Since its inception, the NHS Constitution has reminded each local chapter of the four goals as we look to honor the students in our respective high schools, to create enthusiasm for scholarship, to stimulate a desire to render service, to promote leadership, and to develop character in the students of secondary schools. Charles F. Brush High School is proud to have these 21 juniors and seniors who so beautifully have achieved these goals. And we thank you, parents, teachers, counselors, and administrators who have aided them in their journey toward excellence. And now I'd like to introduce our chapter president, Nick Rossi.
Hello. The men and women you have sitting before you are our 2014-2015 NHS inductees. All of them sitting before you have shown excellence in the fields of character, scholarship, leadership, and service. And to talk about character, here's our Vice President, Karen David.
Character. Character is the force within each individual which distinguishes that person from others. It gives each of us our own individuality. It is that without which no one can respect oneself nor hope to attain the respect of others. It is this force of character that guides one through life and, when once developed, grows steadily. Character is achieved and not received. It is the product of constant action, striving daily to make the right choice. The problem of character is the problem of self-control. We must be in reality what we wish to appear to others. By demonstrating such qualities as respect, responsibility, trustworthiness, fairness, caring, and citizenship, we may hope to prove by example that we value character. I now welcome our treasurer, Chelsea Conwell, to explain scholarship.
Scholarship. Scholarship means a commitment to learning. A student is willing to spend hours in reading and study, knowing the lasting benefits of a cultivated mind. We should continue to learn even when formal education has ended. For education ends only with the end of life. Knowledge is one great element in life, which leads to the highest success, and it can be acquired in only one way, through diligence and effort. Learning furnishes the lamp by which we read the past, and the light that illuminates the future. Candidates have the charge to continually expand their world through the opportunities inherent in scholarship. And now our treasurer, Andrew Millar, will explain leadership.
Leadership. Leadership should exert a wholesome influence on the school. In taking the initiative in class and school activities, the real a leader should strive to train and aid others to attain the same objective. The price of leadership is sacrifice, the willingness to yield one's personal interests for the interest of others. A leader has self-confidence and will go forward when others hesitate. No matter what power and resources may exist in a country, they are ineffectual without the guidance of a wise leader. Leadership is always needed. Thus, to lead is a substantive charge to each of our members. I now welcome Carly Cope, our parliamentarian, to explain service.
Service. Service can be described in various ways. In the routine of day's work, many opportunities arise to help others. Willingness to work for the benefit of those in need without monetary compensation or recognition is the quality that we seek in our membership. It is an attitude as well as a lifestyle. We are committed to the idea of volunteering our time and our abilities to the creation of a better tomorrow.
And now, without further introduction, will our inductees please stand up? Kari Atchinson. Abigail Bernard. Corey Best. Nia Britton. Michaela Colston. Sarah May Famadico. Colin Fry. Taylor Hurt. Brittany Katrinik. James Lacey. Hallie Letizio. Brittany Mack. Siobhan McDermott. Lindsay Mink. Jalen Perkins. Jada Ray. Samantha Rummel. Danae Scoville. Melina Taylor. Nicole Vavro. Tanira Williams. These are your 2014 National Honor Society inductees. And now I would ask all members to stand and join us in the reading of the National Honor Society Pledge. I pledge myself to uphold the high purpose of the National Honor Society to which I have been selected, to build strong character in myself and others, to advance scholarship, to provide leadership, and to serve my school, my community, and my country in the interest of humanity. You can all take a seat now.
Good evening. It is my privilege to introduce our speaker tonight. Don Mastrobona's name still echoes around the halls of Brush High School at times. Not so much because he was a Brush graduate, I won't give you the year, but mostly because he taught here and at Memorial Junior High for 33 years and was the English department coordinator at Brush for 15 of those years. Excuse me, during which he helped to develop the curriculum for and coordinated an intern program with John Carroll University, his alma mater. He also worked with Step Up, the gifted program, and developed and implemented a Writing Across the Curriculum program for teachers from all disciplines. His article of the year in 2004, which he co-authored for the English Leadership Quarterly, the publication of the National Council of Teachers of English, documents and analyzes the data from this program at Brush. Don retired from Brush at 2006, but he certainly has not stopped teaching. He continues to work with teachers in workshops, to teach graduate courses in education as an adjunct instructor with Notre Dame College, John Carroll University, Cleveland State University, and Lesley University in Cambridge, Mass. Currently, he works as a consultant on disciplinary and content literacy and formal assessment. Don states that working with teachers all across the country has reinforced the belief that, quote, teachers in every part of this country face the same concerns and hold the same passion for our professional craft and our students. Don lives with his wife, Diane, who was a math teacher at Mayfield High School for many years, and a very large but very sweet dog named Rusty. He and his wife have 2 daughters, Andrea, who works in the marketing department of Whole Foods. Is it North or South Carolina? North Carolina, I got it right, okay. And Jenna, a registered dietitian with the Cleveland Clinic. We are very pleased and honored to have Donald Mastrobono as our speaker tonight.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. First of all, I'd like to thank Mrs. Falkenberg and Ms. Fine for inviting me back to Brush to speak with you, your families, the faculty, Mr. Williamson, and Mrs. Reed tonight. It is an honor to have this opportunity to congratulate you and on your induction in the National Honor Society, to commend your families for the encouragement and sacrifices they made in terms of helping you get to this, and to acknowledge your teachers for their guidance in academics and exemplifying the qualities that are the values of the National Honor Society. Having the opportunity to speak with you reminds me of what I miss most about teaching at Brush, the students. As a former Brush teacher, I am aware of the hard work, commitment, and dedication to your studies, your activities, and your school that got you here. I know that your teachers have challenged you, encouraged you, guided you, and always expected the best from you and for you. I know this because I know your teachers. You didn't want to mention the date, but in September of 1967, some of you will have to find that information in your history books, I was frantically trying to figure out how to get from the D wing to the A wing to get to class on time without getting lost somewhere inside this building. Never would I have imagined that 47 years later, I would know this building so well and that I would be standing on the stage to welcome and congratulate you tonight. Much has changed in those years. Different wings have been added, rooms have been added to the building, chalkboards have been replaced with smartboards, research is done on computers, administration and faculty have changed, students now use iPads or tablets instead of textbooks and notebooks. But despite those changes over time, some constants remain at Brush. They are a tradition of academic excellence, a standard of behavior, an expectation of success beyond the walls of Brush High School. They were evident in 1969 when I graduated, in 1980 when I returned to teach at Brush, in 2006 when I retired, and they are evidently, from all of you, remain today. And those constants are most evident, realized, and appreciated in the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society. I'm going to talk about the 4 pillars, but actually I think the students probably did a better job than I'm going to do on this, so hopefully I'll add to what you've said on that. It is customary to define leadership, service, character, and scholarship as the students have, and to recognize what you have achieved and demonstrated. You've met those requirements, but it's important to remember that these are not just qualifications to be met, but qualities to be embraced throughout life. What is important is that you must define each of these qualities for yourself, beginning with what they mean to you today. And as you move through your junior and senior years, as you move on to college and career, as your life situations change, as each of these qualities are tested, you will redefine them, and in doing so, will enrich your life. So, I thought what I might do is share some of my perspectives on these qualities as I now see them, perspectives developed from being a student, a teacher, a coordinator, and instructor for teachers. What I learned about leadership is that it is not a position, it's a disposition. It's a frame of mind, it's a way of thinking. Leadership does not depend on the importance of a position. You can be a leader of a small group, a classroom, an activity, a team, an organization, an institution, a corporation. But the skills and demands of leadership remain the same. Leadership is not a reward, it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility to affect change, it is a responsibility to consider the common good, and it is a responsibility to and for those you lead. A leader must not only consider what changes need to be made, but also how to bring others along. Will you order change or will you encourage it? Will you demand or will you persuade? Will you dictate or will you educate? Leadership involves being aware of the needs of others you lead without losing sight of what needs to be accomplished. Leaders make others feel good about themselves and therefore willing to follow. Leadership requires a vision and the ability to articulate that vision to others. Leaders talk, but more importantly, they need to listen. Talking is easy. Hearing just takes time. Listening involves thought and the goal of understanding. Leaders motivate, leaders inspire. Warren Bennis, an eminent scholar and author who is a professor at the University of Southern California and advised presidents and business executives on successful leadership, has stated in part, successful leadership is about a set of attributes, and first and foremost of those is character. Character, as one of the students said, is what distinguishes you from others. It is an expression of who you are. It is the reason for how and why you act. But only you know your true character. Are your actions true to your standards, or are you acting just to impress others? In essence, character informs your attitudes towards leadership, service, and scholarship. But I found it most challenging to define. Is character honesty, courage, integrity? A belief in fairness, caring, respect? Can it even be defined by a single word, or is it the sum of all of these qualities? Perhaps that's where the English teacher in me comes out, because when I think of character, I think of characters, I think of literature. In class, we discuss why characters act as they do. Now, often students would ask me, why do we discuss all these things in English class? And I'd say I wouldn't have a job if we didn't have those things to discuss. But why we discuss them is because literature reflects life. Discussing what motivates Romeo and Juliet, Jonas and the Giver, Holden in Catcher in the Rye, Bigger Thomas in Native Son, gives us the opportunity to compare and evaluate our own character and to live vicariously from a distance through the failures or successes of these fictional characters. For some characters, we learn what to do. From others, we learn not what to do, what not to do. I think of the characters also, like Lady Macbeth and Macbeth in a Shakespearean play, who reveal their true character in soliloquy. And I am reminded that the real measure of a character emerges when we are in self-reflection, when we are unaware of an audience, when we think no one is watching. I am reminded of the qualities of characters whenever I think of To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus, whose character dictates all his actions and who illustrates that character is not what you do one time or sometimes, it is what you do all the time. Jem, who learns that a person's character will be tested by time, circumstance, or situation, and the challenge is to learn from those tests. And Boo Radley, who exemplifies the quotation by Thomas Macaulay that the measure of a man's real character is what he would do if he knew he would never be found out. And there's Scout, who by the end of the novel realizes that character is not what you see on the outside of a person, but learns that to know a person's character, you must consider things from his point of view. You can't know a person until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Many have suggested that character is measured by how we treat people who can do us absolutely no good. And the significance of these words relates not only to character, but also to service. Through service, you work to enrich the lives of others without extrinsic reward. You provide service to those who are in need. You donate your time, your effort, your expertise. You might assist at a food bank, tutor for a student who struggles with reading or math. Provide company for someone who's living alone. Canvass your neighborhood to support a levy. You might volunteer with your religious organization or community group. But in all cases, when we provide service, we project ourselves, our character, into the community. Many have, and many more will gain from your service to others. But we might take a moment to think about what we ourselves gain from service. Consider what you've learned by tutoring that 9th grade student who just can't seem to get algebra. What you've learned by spending time reading to an elderly patient. What have you learned as you walk the neighborhood encouraging people to vote? What have you learned about others? And perhaps more significantly, what have you learned about yourself? Service gives us perspective. Perspective enables understanding. Understanding fosters empathy. We enrich our own lives as we work to enrich others. And we enrich ourselves through our engagement in learning and scholarship. We often measure scholarship by grades and grade point average, a collection of data upon which we attach a qualitative significance. But data itself has no meaning and no inherent purpose. It is the interpretation of data that gives it relevance and informs our decision and our actions. I say this because today in education we have the tendency to equate grades and data with learning. Are grades important? Absolutely. Grades give us and others a measure of where we stand. And of course, grades and scores will get you in the door of a college or career, but it is scholarship that will enable you to succeed once there. So what are the qualities of a scholar from my perspective? A scholar delights in intellectual curiosity, knowing that questions drive inquiry and that drives more questions. A scholar takes intellectual risks. Risks allow for creativity. A scholar reaches for intellectual depth, the need to understand and the need to internalize the knowledge they've learned to make it one's own. A scholar exhibits intellectual humility, realizing that the more one learns, the less they know, and the more there is to learn. A scholar exhibits intellectual ownership and knows that taking care of one's own learning empowers learning. A scholar desires learning for the excitement and anticipation of learning a new idea, inventing a new product, discovering a new find. A scholar moves beyond grades to celebrate learning and knowledge. Leadership, character, Service Scholarship. It's not necessary to be a member of the National Honor Society to honor and value those qualities, but it is necessary to embody and promote these qualities as a member of the National Honor Society. Tonight, as you are inducted, you will dedicate yourself to doing just that. Consider why these qualities are fundamental. Reflect on their importance to you. Commit to revisit them from time to time. Let them become more than the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society. Let them become the foundation of your life. Thank you and congratulations.